I have broadcasted. I have started broadcasting, and now I'm going to start. Participants' numbers will be increasing as now everyone will be visible. So, Shwara, we can start. I hope my screen is visible.
Not to me.
So welcome everyone. I welcome to you all on behalf of ISRE Jaipur chapter and ISRE JCRC student chapter. And this is an exclusive webinar brought to you by both the chapters, that is ISRE Jaipur chapter and student chapter at JCRC University. Sustainable refrigeration, the key to food security by Mr. Arun Kumar Bhatia. ISRE has membership for all the students, and it has membership for both professional members and student members. And as you can see, this is a disclaimer. So all the information provided here is like up to, but still we ask you all to please go and research further for the subject.
Could you please go through the disclaimer?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you're audible. Please go through the disclaimer.
Yes. So ISRE Jaipur, ISRE has approximately 28,000 plus members as of now, and it is quickly growing. And ISRE Jaipur chapter has already organized many successful events, and this is in a row of it. So I welcome you all. And this webinar is exclusive for all the student members, which is conducted under the banner of JCRC student chapter. As you can see, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it, which is by Robert Swan. And I thank you for joining. So today's technical talk session is brought to you by the Indian Society of Heating, Refrigerating and Air Conditioning Engineers in association with the JCRC University student chapter. So here are some of the benefits to join ISRE. As you can see, unlimited access to knowledgeable bank, learning and skill development, networking opportunity with HVAC and our fraternity, invitation to conferences, seminars, workshop, and expos. And there are many more, as you can see on your screen. And as you can see that this is the project grant. For on the left side of your screen is the for undergraduate students, and on the right side is for postgraduate students, which for which the due date is 14th of August 2020. And for undergraduate students, the project grant is of 50,000 rupees, and for postgraduate student, it is for 1 lakh rupees. These are some of the benefits of joining ISRE. So now for registration purposes, the student registration fees is a total of 550 rupees, which includes 18% GST. And the last date of registration is 31st of July 2020. And for professional members, for 3 years of membership, there are two plans. For 3 years, it is 5,310 rupees, and for 10 years, it is 10,620 rupees, and both include GST fees. And now I welcome Dr. Vaibhav Jain sir, who is the faculty advisor of ISRE student chapter at the JCRC University.
Thank you, Gaurav. And I, Dr. Vaibhav Jain, welcome Mr. Bhatia. Mr. Arun Kumar Bhatia has experience of 26 years in the industry. He has the bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, post-graduation in management, and a certification course in refrigeration from University of Wisconsin, Madison, USA. From the last 17 years, he is based in UAE, having exposure to Middle East, North Africa, and European Union regions. Having worked with Ryan Old, Makova, JE Refrigeration, and Guntur Groups for diverse faculties including design, projects, and product application and project sales. Currently, he is based in Dubai and helping industry as a consultant, facilitator, and trainer. So I welcome Mr. Bhatia on the behalf of JCRC University, and I request you, sir, to enrich our students and faculty members today from your rich and wide experience. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
As a small token of appreciation from ISRE Jaipur chapter side, as you are quite far from Jaipur, a small token through digital we would like to give you. Definitely when you will visit India, we will be giving you in hand.
I'm touched. Jaipur is awesome city. I think people are also awesome.
Yes, sir. You may start sharing your screen.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I will start now. My screen is visible now?
Yes, sir. Visible, well visible.
Okay. See, it has been already introduced that we are going to talk about sustainable refrigeration system and the importance of refrigeration system in food chain or food security. Now this I will skip. Now first I always say the most important thing, which is a disclaimer. Disclaimer, it is whatever I am saying today, it is entirely my experience, my knowledge, and learned knowledge from my mentors. So I don't say that this will be, I'm not a god of refrigeration or other subject, but what knowledge I get from my mentors, my students, I'm just trying to share with that. And I'm eager to learn from the students via questions. Now, the first and foremost, I would like to thank the core committee of ISRE Jaipur and the relevant engineering chapter. Thank you for having me here. I am glad, I am really thrilled by your efforts that you are doing so much for students, and I'm sure our next generation will definitely get benefit out of it. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you. So let me start how we are going to place next 1.5 hour, and how we are going to invest our time, effort, and energy. We will basically talk about food. What food is all about, we know, but I wanted to start from the food, and then I wanted to connect our engineers or future designers or future entrepreneurs involvement to make this society better. So we talk about food and ecosystem in which cold chain works. Then what is the current food scenario, some facts. Then refrigeration system, different refrigeration system working in industry. And then these refrigeration system, how they are helping us to maintain temperatures and other properties required for commodity storage. And then last we go to action plan, how we can make this planet better and help farmers or all the stakeholders in cold chain to generate best practices and create best ranking of India as a food security. Now let us start from very basic thing. I'm sure you must have seen this triangle. This is from a famous, we call it Maslow triangle. So if we go, human voyage or human journey is always about starting from bottom and then reaching to the top. So bottom, we have a physiological need, where one of the most important need is a food. Okay, so we are always motivated to fulfill our basic needs before reaching to self-actualization, which in many civilizations we have named different way. I know in Indian system we say moksha, or one of the way we say it. But reaching to the top, why we want to reach to top? Because we want to help the bottom one. But if we are not able to sustainable practices at the bottom, we are not able to have enough food, so we cannot reach to have a good and better society in coming years. Now let us start with a definition. So definition of cold chain will follow later on, but this is about food security. So as per United Nations, food security is all about food availability, food access, food usage, and food stability. And I am currently based in United Arab Emirates, where most of the things are coming from outside. We are importing most of the things, but I'm always surprised to tell people that we are having everything so accessible, price competitive, and we have a choice to eat whatever we want to eat. On other side, in India, we are at very high ranking in food production, but food security ranking is very low. Why? We will try to analyze that. So food security basically having three components. One is that every human should get as per his dietary need, nutrition, and then he should have a safe food, no contamination in the food. And the third and the most important thing is, a person should have a choice. Like if I'm a vegetarian, I deserve to have my food at reasonable cost and good nutritional value. I should not be forced to eat non-vegetarian food or vice versa. So that is very important. And you will find out as a student that as a mechanical engineer or an engineer, how important a mechanical engineer or a cold store designer or a refrigeration engineer or HVACR engineer important in food chain. Now let us go further to understand where food chain starts. So food chain start at the place where we cultivate the food. So as per Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, so we generate food, crops, we have livestock, we have forestry. So this happens on a land, and then we have aquaculture and fisheries, which partially or not happening in land, or it is happening on sea or land together. Now cold chain, or we say, fork to table or journey, is, we can depict it started from the farm, then we transport to the processing factories, then we may further transport to the stores or local market, or some of the cases, like one of my friend, he is doing organic farming. Okay, so whatever he's producing, he's either selling it to 5-star hotels or some key customers only. So in that case, the cold chain is bit straighter. Now cold chain for seafood is it is a highly perishable, so we don't have we need strict temperature management in this. So if you go to southern part of India, most of the coastal regions, you will find huge investment because they are mostly export oriented units. I don't know, my presentation is running, so I think now recently this was a definition which caught my eye. I think every student should read this religiously. I think this is awesome definition done by Ashray. The cold chain is series of actions and equipments applied to maintain a product within a specific low temperature range from harvest production to consumption. Okay, so we are here talking about two important things: actions and equipments. So actions, where as an engineer I am involved; equipments, where as an engineer I am very much involved. So we are carrying a big obligation, big responsibility, and we must try to fulfill. So this is a simple cold chain ecosystem where a grower is growing and harvesting, and then refrigerate, we process, pack, or we store, and then we transport it to, and then we eat together. Now another most important thing is, this is also World Health Organization, like we must have a clean, healthy food, and we deserve that. And I will show you how as an engineer you are going to affect this and how you are going to contribute this. Now let us have a look at world scenario of food. See, as per the research what I have done, we have enough food on the planet, and we are ready to have this food for next 35 years with the same amount of production. Now look at India's food ranking. We are producing, as a producer, we are number 2 or number 3. But as a food security, we are quite low. Yes. Government have done awesome jobs by allowing 100% foreign direct investment. But still 40% of the food which is generated in our farms is not reaching table. Somehow it got destroyed, it is wasted because of various reasons. I'm sure most of us be knowing these reasons, but as a students, we must understand. Now comes to core engineering topic. So this is basic refrigeration system. We call it vapor compression system. So in vapor compression system, you have a compressor which compresses the gas, okay, from low temperature, low pressure to high temperature, high pressure. Then it goes further into condenser where it get condensed, or I must say it should condense to become 100% liquid. And that liquid goes through expansion valve, a throttling process, where it becomes in direct expansion process, it becoming mist, and then it gets into evaporator, and where we are sucking the heat, and then it goes, the cycle goes and goes on and on. And then the red area is high temperature, high pressure area, and the blue area is low temperature, low pressure area. So on right hand side of the screen, just to show what are the component here, like for example, this is in household refrigerator or a small refrigerator. So there is a evaporator, there is an expansion line, there is a liquid line, and there is a condenser, and this is a compressor. Now this is another system. We use it for larger cold stores. We call it ammonia pump, or other refrigerant. We can use carbon dioxide or any other refrigerant which is eco-friendly. So we have here also compressor, condenser, evaporators, but instead of expansion system, we have a pump which is pumping the refrigerant into the evaporators. So it is like you are in air conditioning system, you are pumping water to fan coil units and then generating a cooler effect. So in this system, we are pumping a refrigerant, which is at liquid state, to the evaporator, and again, heat exchanging process is the same as the direct expansion system. Now the third system, which is a centralized glycol chiller or water chiller, which we are pumping into the cold store or any store where we are storing any perishable material, and through PLC panel we are controlling the temperature, humidity, or other parameters. Yes. Now the next is cold effect. So in a cold store, we are supposed to generate a cold effect. Then only we can generate a sustainable cooling system. So in generating cold effect, we should need few components which as a mechanical engineer, we must understand them thoroughly, or if not, at least we should have a knowledge of individual component, how it works. Then only we will be able to generate and design the good cold store. In a normal cold store, you have a evaporator, which is with fans, and it is blowing air into the product. And then we have a temperature controller or a PLC controller, which is controlling different parameters. Yes. And then we have a few other components, solenoid valve, indicator, shut-off valve. These are the valves which help us to ensure, for example, a filter dryer. It will help us to ensure a dry refrigerant. Yes. Now, how refrigerant become moist? That is another question. Yes, we can discuss that in questions. Then we must have a heart of refrigeration, which is a compressor. So for me, the most important components are compressor, condenser, and evaporator. They are the most important. Having said that, I'm not saying other components are not important. For example, for us, mind, heart and eyes are important, or ear is also important, but the most important thing is compressor, condenser, and evaporator. So designing of this is the most important, and they are the most valuable if we see in all any cold store. So this is a diagram which is just depicting and a DX system we have seen in previous slides. If you observe here, so blue is a cold air. It is getting into the cold store, and after taking heat of the product, it is going back and again cooling and coming back. So this is a cycle which is maintained like this, and this hot refrigerant is cooled a unit which is kept outside the cold store, same like our window AC, and again the liquid refrigerant after expanding going into evaporator. So we have here important component which we say evaporator or air cooler. Then we have a pressure transmitter, temperature sensors, controllers, ambient air sensors, cold room walls, doors, and electric operated expansion valve or pressure operated expansion valves are also okay. Now, as an engineer, you should be understanding at least basic things about this. I remember when I was in engineering, I think second year we had a exam of thermal engineering, and third year we had a paper for a refrigeration and air conditioning. So, but that time refrigeration was never taught as a subject in the colleges. So most of the engineers, they were going and choosing HVAC because refrigeration as a specialty was available in very, very few colleges. If I remember correctly, 3 to 5 colleges in India. I'm talking, I was passed out in 1994. Yes. But being an Indian, I feel really lucky now. We have ample opportunities and good teachers. They are extending, they are not only teaching HVAC, but also refrigeration, which is very important. It is just an extension of HVAC. Now, we have seen single room cold storage or single room storage unit. Like that, we can have a centralized storage also, where we can have 6 rooms. Even I have done projects where even a project had 150 rooms on 2 different floors. So 75 rooms at ground floor and 75 rooms at first floor. So as an engineer or designer, the principle is same, whether it is a 1 room or it is 100 rooms or 1000 rooms. So your understanding about 1 room can be multiplied to 100 or 150 rooms. So knowledge and principle is same. Now, as an engineer, your responsibility goes further when you have to design a cold store. It is same as HVAC. So you need to find out the loads. So now what are the loads? So this picture is I got this is from HVAC only. So I'm just trying to make sure you understand it properly. We have a transmission load which is coming from ambient. You have any questions? You can ask me questions if you have any questions up to now, before we going to moving to load calculations.
Vaibhav sir, are there any questions? I can see sir.
Yes, sir. There is one question. The question is that they want to understand again the cycle of air coming from the evaporator and again going in. So they didn't get it properly. So they are asking it again.
Okay. So let me explain it this way. For example, you have a window AC. Yeah. So imagine this front part is your window AC's coil, where or rather split AC. Okay. So split AC, you see there is an outer part which is a condenser, and there is an inner part which is a which looks very, very nice. Yes, it is fitted in your drawing rooms, which we call fan coil unit or air handling unit. And here you are sending a refrigeration, liquid refrigerant, and then it gets into here expansion valve. Okay.
It's 5 o'clock.
It can be electronically operated or it can be pressure operated. Okay. Now this electronic valve is opening and closing based on the exit of the refrigerant from this evaporator. So when evaporator is blowing air, there are 3 fans, 1, 2, 3. So he is blowing air, it is coming down, and there is a product here. For example, we are storing a potato which is at 10 degree. but we want to bring it at 5 degree. So our temperature is set here at 5 degree, and this temperature is communicating to expansion valve. Here I would like to mention to all the students, refrigeration is not about temperatures. Okay, always keep this in mind. This is what I learned from my mentor. He is a German, and he told me that refrigeration is all about pressures. So if we understand pressures, refrigeration system is understood properly. So when this pressure is changing at the exit, if it is getting lower or higher, accordingly this controller will say that this evaporator should run. So then we are cooling this potato until unless the temperature reaches at 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, now how will we know this temperature will be reaching 5 degree? Because we have a temperature sensor, right? Which we can put it somewhere in potatoes. For example, I have given an example, or whatever product is. So it is sensing the temperature from the commodity which is stored inside. Okay, and then evaporator continuously blowing air till he is reaching at a stage the temperature is equalized between sensor and the coil of the evaporator. Same way, for example, we set our room air conditioning at 25, and when temperature is achieved, your compressor or your unit is stopped, right? I hope I am able to explain.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, still we can go on and on, because sometime I may not be able to reach at the level of students. Yes, and
Right, sir.
that I have to learn that. Okay.
No, sir. Now it is clear to all the students.
Yeah, I think it is same way like home AC is running.
Yeah, exactly, sir.
Yeah. So you can have 3 rooms, 5 rooms, or 10 rooms. Yes. Now we can go ahead with the load calculation. Do you agree with me, moderator? Okay, I'm moving ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, we can go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a transmission load, we have a product load, we have internal loads like forklifts, like internal motors. So all those load, then we have a most important is infiltration load and equipment load. So here I'm not able to show you any commodities because I didn't have picture. Yes, and that says that still the refrigeration is not that dominant as compared to HVAC. Yes, but then here I have taken example. If you see here, I have a room. Yes, the room is 10 meter length, 10 meter width, and 10 meter height. Say volume around 1000 meter cube. So load of the room, when we calculate based on this transmission, product, infiltration, equipment, and safety factor which we add to load, this can vary from 10 kilowatt to 55 kilowatt for sensible load. Now we will come to next slide what is sensible and what is latent load. And it can also vary from 180 kilowatt to 190 kilowatt if it is sensible load plus latent load. Yes, I have taken this data by my calculation considering some respiratory on non-respiratory product for respective air incoming temperatures. So by this note, what I mean to say is there are some products which respirate like humans, like breathe like humans. So when we are breathing, we are generating heat. Okay, so products are also generating heat when they are in store. Okay, and these products when generating heat, so their load may vary. For example, a product which is packed like almonds or a chocolate will never breathe, or a milk which will never breathe. But if you are storing a garlic, ginger, or apples, they will be breathing and generating some gases, and this will create an additional load on refrigeration system. Now, if we go on second point, I said I have calculated this load considering 10 ton of a poultry product. For example, if I have a 10 ton of a fresh chicken and I want to freeze it, say I'm talking about slaughterhouse, chicken slaughterhouse, because there are vegetarian people and there are people those who are not vegetarian. Okay, so cold chain is responsible for everyone. So in this case, when I'm bringing a poultry products which is approximately around 10 degrees Celsius or 15 degrees Celsius incoming temperature, and I would like to shock freeze it. Shock freeze it, and after freezing it, I will take it out. So my load may vary up to 190 kilowatt. See, 10 kilowatt to 190 kilowatt, same room can behave in a load calculation. So what we can learn here, our load calculations depending largely on the products and how these products are behaving inside a cold store. So other loads like transmission load, infiltration load, they are more or less, you can sometimes use thumb rules. Even personally, I never use thumb rules, and I never advise anyone that go for thumb rules. But why I use this word, that you may, but for product load, it is very specific and project oriented. Now coming back to our last thing in load calculation, why we are receiving 10 kilowatt at one point and 190 kilowatt at another point. So let us see. I'm sure most of the students, they know about sensible load. Sensible load is like a load where we are not doing any phase change. Okay. So correct me if anytime I'm wrong, or prove me wrong. I am open for anything. Okay. So sensible load, when we have to reduce the temperature for anything, for example, humans coming at say ambient temperature of 48 degrees Celsius, we are cooling them to comfort conditions which are say 22 degree plus minus 1, RH 55, and then these are sensible loads. Suppose we are planning to cool the vegetables which we brought from the farm at 20 degrees Celsius after pre-cooling, and now we want to store them at 5 degree. So from 20 to 5 degree, we are cooling that vegetables or fruits. So this is called sensible cooling. But if we want to freeze those vegetables, so we have to have a latent load. So we have to understand what is the latent heat of fusion. Okay, and that, I tell you, if you go back to your textbooks, it is a huge load, because freezing, phase changing is a big load. Like I remember one of my professor, he used to give an example like freezing of ice. So he says water just at below around 1 degree Celsius, it is just a chilled water, or even at 0.01 degree Celsius, it is a slurry ice or a water. But as it start going below zero, it is freezing. So so in this graph, I would try to show so student can understand. So freezing, if you see, if we have a product at 20 degrees Celsius, we wanted to bring it to close to 0 degrees Celsius. So this product can be brought in, say, this much amount of time, say, which I'll say the 5 hours. But when we want to freeze this product, the curve becomes flat. Yes. So the temperature is not reducing. Compressor or a refrigeration device working continuously from this point of time to this point of the time and consuming a lot of energy. So this energy is used to freeze. So why? Because latent heat of freezing require a lot of time and a lot of calories to be. And then below freezing, there is another load which we call below freezing sensible load. Okay, so we have a above freezing sensible load and below freezing, which are like almost negligible in comparison to the freezing or latent heat of freezing. So I think now you can understand why the load is varying from in same room 10 kilowatt to 190 kilowatt. Okay. Now, in case students have any questions regarding load, I would be glad to answer. Yes.
Yes. Vaibhav sir, is there any question? Vaibhav sir?
Yes, sir. There are two questions. One first question is from Mr. Tapan Basu. He's asking that, he's asking that, is there any effect of refrigerant used in cold storage on the products?
See, normally there is no effect of refrigerant because nowadays evaporators and piping material is so reliable and sturdy that there is no effect of refrigerant on cold storage products. But having said that, I would like to also correct myself and add one point to it, that there are some cold stores which are very closer to some hazard areas, or there are some design limitations. So we are not using, for example, direct refrigerant getting into cold store. So there we may have a limitation that refrigerant getting closer to cold store is, the product is not advisable. Now here I would like to give example to Tapan. For example, we are using indirect refrigerant, ethylene glycol and propylene glycol in milk chilling processes or juice chilling processes. But one of the glycol is not food grade. Okay. So one of the glycol which is not food grade, but it is a better heat transfer properties. But being a refrigeration engineer, we must use the glycol which is a food grade, because if there is 0.1% chances of leakage of heat exchanger, so this non-food grade indirect refrigerant should not mix with the product and contaminate it. So this is a good question. So Tapan, to conclude, I would say that 99% of the projects, there is no problem with the refrigerant and a product. Yes.
Sir, one more question. In fact, two more questions are from the same person, Mr. Gaurav Hansali, and he is
Gaurav.
asking that what are the thumb rules while designing the refrigeration system?
See, you reminds me, I was not a very good student of few subjects. So I used to make my thumb rules just to ratify the things. Yes.
Actually,
Yeah. Yes, this is a good technique. We should have thumb rules, but thumb rules are not reliable. I think that we can discuss offline. Yes. And we can discuss unofficially, because I don't want to give this notion to students, and I want our students to be a global refrigeration engineers carrying a philosophy, not believing and relying on thumb rules. Yes, but me and Gaurav, we can talk offline and we will have discussions on thumb rules, many hours. My thumb rules, I would say. Yes, you have any other question?
Yes. Yes, sir. There is one other question from Mr. Anurag Singh Shekhawat. How much opening of gate or other cold air leak effects affect the performance of cold room?
Mr. Shekhawat, Mr. Shekhawat, you are really a smart brain. Yes. And I'm sure you are a student, because everybody is student in this. Mr. Shekhawat, you mentioned very important question.
So professionals are also there.
Yeah. Okay. So every professional is a student. That's what I wanted to say. So I am
Yes,
still a
yes,
student.
true, true.
So Mr. Shekhawat, this is a very nice question. And door opening and closing is very important. And with that, quality of door is also very important. Yes, it is not only opening. Sometimes door is closed, but some doors are such, they are such a bad quality doors that after 1 year they start leaking. Even we have best what do you call sealants, but they are leaking because of their quality. So I must add here is like not only infiltration through doors, one is a direct infiltration which is visible. You can see it. So Mr. Shekhawat, there is a indirect infiltration which is from a doors which started after 2-3 years when doors get deformed or they get leakage started because of various reasons. So door itself is a special topic. We can talk 1 hour on that. Now coming back to your question, infiltration, we have to make sure if we have a single room cold store, we should try to have an anti room in front of cold store. Yeah, like small trap where we can kill entire humidity. Otherwise, we will have a lot of ice formation inside the store, or we will consume extra energy. And you know what extra energy does? It takes a lot of money from your pocket. And also environment wise, we are killing environment, we are generating extra carbon for the environment. Yes. So thank you for your question, Mr. Shekhawat. Like it is really important to have a door closed or kill the humidity as much as possible by air curtains or having a anti room. Yes. Do you have another question?
Yes, sir. One more question. Yes,
Please.
one more question has arisen just right now. Sir, how ventilation is controlled here
See, not all
while
the
dressing?
not all the products need ventilation. Yes.
Yeah, this
First,
question is from Vijay Singh ji.
yeah. Who, Mr.
Vijay Singh Patel.
Mr. Vijay Singh.
Yeah.
Mr. Singh, this is also important. It means you are dealing with various commodities which require ventilation, but packed products and non-respiratory products, we don't need ventilation. Say, for example, apple cold stores, potato cold stores, we may need ventilation system. Yes. Depending upon whether they are long term or short term storage. For example, if we have a one room store where we are storing potato for one night or some vegetables for one night next to the supermarket, we don't need a ventilation system. But if it is really a large store where we are storing commodities, respiratory commodities, definitely we need a ventilation system. I think we will talk it in next section. Yeah, because then we understand what are the products which require ventilation. So if you don't mind, Mr. Singh, can I answer this question in next session?
I think yes, we can. Mr. Vijay Singh cannot. We cannot unmute him.
Okay.
But yes, I think we can take these answers later on.
Yeah, because then this question become more relevant. Yes, we know various commodities, what is their storage requirement. Then we can connect Mr. Singh's question to our webinar.
Sure.
And students can
Sure.
understand that.
There's one.
Yes.
Sure, sir. There is one question from our past president and regional director, Mr. Tapan Basu Roy. He is asking one question, that is energy recovery ventilator is mandatory?
Wow, this is a really high tech question. Yeah, Tapan, I'm glad you asked me this question. See, there
So
is
he's a RD regional director for North region.
Yeah, I can understand. This question can only come from a gentleman who is really deeply involved into energy and
True.
saving of energy. Yes, so I'm glad he asked this question. So Mr. Basu, normally in cold store we are not recovering the heat. Yes, but there is a section of refrigeration where we call leisure parks. For example, we have ice ring, we have snow domes. So there we are maintaining temperature in some of the cases around -5 degrees Celsius and -10 degrees Celsius inside the snow ski slopes. Okay, so these ski slopes having people inside. So when these ski slopes having people inside, so they need fresh air. You need to maintain the levels as per the HVAC standards prevailing, okay, or applicable there. I'm not expert on that. So there you have -5 degree air inside, and you have an incoming air which is coming at say 40 degree, 45 degree, and in the desert like Dubai, it is coming in fact 50 degree also. So there we are exchanging heat, you know, through various principles. You know, -5 degree going air and coming air is plus 50 degrees Celsius. So I'm glad you asked me this question and you know, brought me to the project. Thank you, Mr. Basu.
Sir, I have one question.
Please.
I mean, definitely Gaurav has also asked this question, but freezing the food will degrade the quality of food. Is it right?
This is a very wrong perception. This is what I learned. Okay, we can go and talk hours and hours with the food microbiologist or food property consultants, but as a refrigeration guy, as a refrigeration engineer, as a refrigeration trainer or a consultant, whatever trainings or whatever my mentors have taught me, food quality is never degraded. If we are getting a food at good quality at the starting of refrigeration process, I mean at the blast freezing process. For example, I remember when I still remember, you know, in 1996-97, I was in Delhi, happily staying with my family. And my mom used to, you know, I used to love peas, you know, matar bolte hain hum Hindi mein. I used to love these peas, but they were not available in with our vendors. But suddenly there is an organization called Mother Dairy. They started selling this frozen peas. And you won't believe, I was so happy. I was giving my blessing and good wishes to the engineer who had this idea about freezing peas and bringing this to my table. And I was so happy kid, or rather adult, enjoying those peas in 90s or like 80s. So food, now coming back to your question, freezing food never degrades its quality, but it helps us to have a food security. So freezing a product or processing a product is very, very essential of any refrigeration system. So this is a wrong perception as per my knowledge, that freezing a product can degrade the quality, but it enhances the life of the product. For example, a fresh product, in some cases we can store for 2 months, 1 month, 10 days. But if you are freezing a fish in Tuticorin or in Visakhapatnam or in Chennai or anywhere in Kerala, and this same fish can go to a Japanese table, and Japanese can have a fish which is only available in Indian sea waters. See, that is the opportunity we are getting through a refrigeration system, an efficient refrigeration system. I hope I am able to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So yes, we can go ahead. We will collect few of the more questions in next break.
Yes. So let us come to the storage requirement. So this is not a rocket science. If you have ASHRAE's handbook, everything is mentioned there. I follow because I get every year ASHRAE handbook. So I go, I read, and these are the properties. For example, we will not go through all the products, but this is just to show how products behave differently. So let me start from top. Say for example, apple fresh. So if you see here, moisture content is approximately 83%, and so is the fat, and then goes is the initial freezing point of apple, yes, which is minus 1.5, and then comes specific heat above the freezing, which we call which is used to calculate sensible heat by any load calculation. Then if we need to freeze apple, of course, freezing apple is not a crime. I must say that if somebody in Brazil would like to have an Indian apple at a economical cost, so a farmer in Kashmir can freeze those apple in cut pieces and send it to Brazil. Yeah, this will be a great opportunity for a Brazilian citizen as well as a farmer or a harvester in Kashmir. So this is a great opportunity to connect two continents and generating food security. How? By efficient, sustainable refrigeration system. Now latent heat of fusion, if you see here, is 280 kilojoule per kg. Wow, which is very high. Yeah, so which mean we have to have a very high effort done by a compressor to remove that much heat to freeze a product. And same thing, if you go further down in, you know, raspberries, the things will change, you know, the temperature and everything will change. Now this was for fruits. Now go for you know, the perishable products, whole fish. For example, many of us may not be knowing all these kind of fish, but as a refrigeration engineer, I bet we must understand what are the fishes available in the world, because we need to freeze them, or we should know, you know, how we can help our fishing harvester or fishing farmers to generate a crop and help them to have their revenue, increase their revenue. For example, the cod fish, you know, cod fish oil. I am sure most of us having this small bottle of cod fish oil, high omega-3. Yeah. So look at this here, the kilojoule of latent heat is 271 and the freezing point here is minus 2.2. But if you go further, you have a liver of a, you know, which is a different temperature. So same, we go to next slide. Sorry. Now these are the storage properties. You know, you can see here apricot, apple. So apple is stored at minus 1 degree Celsius, but see, the relative humidity you need to store apple is minimum 90% and maximum 95%. Of course, it is changing little bit here, there, depending upon particular type of apple. Now, respiration rate or ethylene production rate in apple is very high. Okay, so that also generated a lot of load in apple, you know. And then if you are going to other product, for example, banana, the storage temperature is 13 to 15 degree compared to apple. Okay, and if you go to avocado is stored at 13 degrees Celsius. But if you go further on the column, asparagus is having very high heat of respiration, same like garlic. Now here I come to two important commodities which is also a part of our every Indian's diet: ginger and garlic. We have a lot of ginger and garlic. See, the temperature of storage here is for garlic is 0 degree, close to 0. Even in Middle East area, I have done stores where ginger is stored at minus 2 to minus 3 degrees Celsius for a longer storage life. And I tell you, we have very high quality ginger and garlic available in United Arab Emirates, 12 months and same quality. And that is only because of good refrigeration engineers and good refrigeration systems. Now we have already gone, yes. Now in case of fish and other storage, for example, lamb is stored at -2 to -201. And the storage life also, you can see, it varies from 12 days to 6 to 8 months. See, I'm coming back to same question, which I don't remember who asked. It was about frozen products. So if you see here, a normal fish is staying at 18 days. But if same fish is frozen, it can go up to 6 to 12 months. So this is the important thing. So same with the dairy product, if you go on right hand side, I have an arrow here. So butter is stored at 0, and there are some butters which is stored at -23. And see, humidity here for storage of butter is 75 to 85. And you have a storage up to 2 to 4 weeks. But the same butter is stored at -23. It can last up to 12 to 20 months. Yeah. See, when I was visiting Denmark, so I have been told an interesting story during World War, that they stored the food commodity in a freezing temperature to have a food security. And from there they learned the importance of refrigeration. That is one of the reasons which I understood, that high quality products coming from Denmark in refrigeration industry. Okay. And also there are high standard universities doing research on producing high standard and sustainable refrigeration systems. So this is just an experience what I'm sharing. Like here you can see nuts. See, if a farmer is producing nuts in a Kashmir or Himachal Pradesh or anywhere, so he has to sell it. But if he has an efficient cold store, he can store at 8 to 12 months those same nuts, and he can sell when the prices are higher, and he is a better negotiator to get the better prices. And that will help end consumer also. Like here, I just wanted to, before starting here, I would like to ask if you have some questions, and I would like to come back to the question about this ventilation system. I think Mr. Singh asked, correct? Moderator, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Ye-
Moderator, can I
Hello?
ask, can I answer this question? That ventilation one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah. Now to Mr. It was a question from Mr. Vijay Singh, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Vijay Singh Shekhawat.
Yeah, Mr. Vijay Singh Shekhawat. So the question asked was, is ventilation system is necessary in cold store, or other way to put it, this question is how we do ventilation in a cold store. So coming back to question, not all the cold stores require ventilation. A cold store where we have high respiratory products. For example, a product which is breathing and generating a lot of CO2 and other gases, which is not good for that product itself. So we have a sensor for those gases, for example, CO2. So as the level of that gases increased in the chamber, so with help of our engineers, PLC design engineers, we give command to ventilation fan, and the ventilation fan starts. So fan starts throwing or pushing that air out of cold store to ambient, and then the level of the gases reach to the desired sensing or allowable level. So fan and the dampers close down and it stops, and again the cooling or heating or ventilation process follows continuously, automatically, and the way as we have programmed in any cold store system. So I hope I am able to answer.
Yes, sir.
Like frozen products, they don't need ventilation system. Ventilation system or any leakage of air in any frozen cold store is like suicidal. Why suicidal? Because as an engineer, we are wasting our resources. As an investor, we are losing a lot of money. So it is a crime to have any leakage in a frozen product store. Now do we have any questions? Storage requirements? Or should I go ahead?
We may go ahead, sir.
Okay. So for example, this may be irrelevant slide, but this slide I have just inserted to share my experience, what I have as a consumer I have here. Because people having a perception in India that frozen products are not good. Frozen products are as healthy as fresh products. Okay. In fact, frozen products are in some cases are very healthy. Why? This slide will tell you. So for example, a frozen or food processing factory, these are two different scenarios where we are, one side we are having fruits and another side we have a vegetables. So we are freezing them. So the first left hand side, you have a raw material, which is a fresh fruits. As a harvester, I have a huge demand, or I have a huge generation, or I have an extra generation of fruits. So what I'll do, I have a processing factory. I sort them, I grade them based on their size, quality. For example, if I have a tomato, so I will sort and no, here it is a fruit. So if I have a fruit, I have an apple, I will sort and grade them based on size, aroma, or color. So then I will remove low quality or low produce. Yes, which in case of fresh product, it is not possible. So if I am selling a fresh product, so my retailer is selling even not so good quality apple. Okay, so good quality and not so good quality apple is mixed when we are selling it. But after sorting and grading, this apple is washed with water. This is hygienic water. Okay, this is much better than a drinkable water or equal to drinkable water. And then this goes into packing. In some cases, there is a sugar addition. For example, I don't get blackberries. We don't generate in United Arab Emirates. As far as my knowledge goes, we are not producing here blackberries, or maybe in some forms, but I'm getting it from other part of the world, frozen. And whenever I want to have blackberry shake or strawberry shake, I'm having it in my mixture whenever I want. So this is my independence to have food as per my choice. Yeah. So who is helping it? A refrigeration engineer like one of you who's sitting in a college today, and tomorrow he will help the world. So after packing, we are freezing it, then frozen storage, and then this is sold to end customer. So if we see here, this raw material may end up wasted. Now I'll share you one example which I saw in approximately 8 or 10 years back. And same in case goes with the right hand side, where we have a raw material which is a vegetable. For example, I have a tomato, or I have a okra, or a peas. So I'm peeling, cutting it and blanching it. And blanching, maybe you can do, like we do in pasteurization, we kill the germs. And then packing, then freezing, and then frozen storage goes for the consumer, which cannot afford 12 months, or because of various reasons, the vegetables are not grown 12 months around the clock. Now, this gives me a food security. And why not? Why not? And this is as nutritious. Now, the story which I wanted to share with the students is, once I was visiting an excellent facility in Nasik. It is grapes pre-cooling facility, and I will not name it. So I was traveling from Nasik to Pune, and on roadside I found at least maybe 1 to 2 tons tomato thrown, literally thrown. So I asked my friend who was sitting next to me, I said, why, you know, this tomato in Delhi, they are not able to have tomatoes. Why they are throwing it here? So he told me, because the rate in respected mandi is so less. Okay. So this is, I remember correctly, maybe 10, 15 years back. So the rate was so less, the farmers want to throw them. Yes, that time I was feeling that I should pack some tomato and bring it back to my house in Delhi. But being a Dubai guy, maybe I was feeling very shy that I should not do it. And so if those farmers were having a good tomato food processing plant, then those tomato could have been converted into tomato paste, tomato puree, or a tomato ketchup. So I'm not saying that we don't have facilities like that. I'm saying that we have a gap there. We can really have more facilities. Now coming to another mechanical engineering segment, that compressor. So now the next most important thing is the compressor in any cold store, which we say is a heart of cold store, which are principle wise, which are 5 types: rotary, screw, scroll, centrifugal, and reciprocating. So most popular is in cold store is reciprocating type, where we have a piston, and it is same like a car engine. So we have a piston, we have valve plate. It is almost same like, so reciprocating, screws, centrifugal, and vane type mostly used in air conditioning system or smaller, I'm not aware vane type I have seen anywhere in cold stores, but reciprocating screw and scroll I have seen in cold stores. In fact, centrifugal also are not very popular in cold stores. Yes. And another thing, I am only talking vapor compression cycle, but there is an absorption cycle and there are other refrigeration systems also. I'm not touching on that because they are not very popular or not very feasible to work on a certain scale. Yeah. Now let us understand from my perspective how important and how we can select the compressor. Now I think in the beginning somebody was asking the refrigerant in directly touch with the product. So compressor selection, refrigerant is also very important. What is your load? For example, if you have a 50 kilowatt load or like 10-ton load, so you can have a small scroll compressor, or 5-ton load, you can have a reciprocating or scroll compressor. But if you have a load of say 3000 tons, so you will go for a large screw compressors, which can be single screw, mono screw. Yes. And the pressures. You remember at the beginning I said refrigeration is all about pressures. Temperature is only a result of pressures. Okay. And these pressures, and compressor is nothing but is a pressure generating machine, or it's a pump. So compressor is taking low temperature, low pressure refrigerant and pushing it to high temperature, high pressure refrigerant. And then based on application, what application we are going to have, compressor is important. For example, if you have a application which is closer to a hazardous area, so we should have a different rating of compressor motor. And suppose the another point is space requirement. If we don't have a available space, so we cannot choose some of the compressors. And also geographical constraints. So this is very important. Geographical constraints, like I share, and say for some of the countries in Africa, I would not keen to sell some compressor which cannot be repaired or maintained there effectively. Yes. And so I would like, and I have no option of training people. So I would rather try to have a compressor which people are easy to train. For example, I would like to use many reciprocating compressors because people are familiar with them. And in case of maintenance, they can easily do it. So geographical constraints are important for selecting of compressors. So thus next important is air coolers, or we call evaporators. Both are same. So one, very few people, principle wise, they understand difference between air coolers and evaporator. The basic difference is, excuse me, where refrigerant is evaporated, it is evaporator. Where refrigeration is not changing phase, it is a cooler. So one where both sensible and latent heat is exchanged, and another where only sensible heat is exchanged. Yes. So there are floor mounted evaporator, there are ceiling mounted evaporators, there are dual discharge, there are single discharge. So even evaporators only we can have session of maybe 2 hours. So evaporator now plays important role. Okay. So these evaporator, if you see, coming back to our, I hope we remember the room. The room which we started in the beginning, 10 meter, 10 meter by 10 meter. So this is 1000 meter cube room. Okay. So as I said, room, if we are not giving enough air to product, so product may get dry, or product may deteriorate, or product may spoil, or product may lose its properties, which may, which we have to discard if it loses the properties. So to maintain the properties, we must ensure that there is a circulation of air through the products. Now I have taken an example. I mean, typically in freezer rooms, there are 6 to 15 circulations of air required in a room filled with the frozen products. And for chiller, this is 15 to 40 circulations. Now I will explain, so don't get confused and don't think too much. I will explain you what is the circulation. And same with the processing rooms with humans. And then we discuss about shock chilling and shock freezing. So they are different circulation ratios in the room. So circulation ratio is nothing but it is the circulation of air in same volume, how many times we are circulating. Okay. Say for example, I have a room which is 1000 meter cube volume. So if we consider a chiller with a 15 circulations, so I will need a air volume generation of 15 into 1000 meter cube. So which is 15,000 meter cube per hour. Yes. So going back to the previous slide. So these fans should be capable to generate 15,000 cubic meter per hour airs to ensure the product quality and properties. I hope I am clear, but I can answer this in questions. Okay. So same thing if the chiller is, there are two type of chillers. One is holding room, another is, chilling. Just for example, this is freezer application. Now chiller, where we are holding a product, my air circulation is 25 circulation. So 25 into 1000. So the same evaporator in the room, okay, should generate 25,000 meter per hour. Now the question might come to your mind. I have the room which can work as a freezer room, as a chiller room also. Yes, that's a possible. And as an engineer, we should be flexible, that we are able to design a room which can work as a freezer room. Of course, we have to bring down the temperatures, and the same room can work as a chiller. For example, in third-party logistic warehouses, those work, many rooms they are working in dual temperature. Okay, so there we should have a evaporator with a higher circulation rate, and we can use fans speeds, we can control fan speed. So for chiller application, for a given example, these fans should generate 15,000 meter cube per hour volume. And for no, I beg your pardon, 15,000 meter cube per hour in a frozen food storage application, and 25,000 meter cube per hour for a chilled storage food application. Hope I am clear with this. And then when we are selecting this evaporator, after compressor, evaporator is most important component when we design any cold store. And how we select it? Again, same way. If our refrigerant is ammonia, then we should have an evaporator selected on ammonia, and system, what properties it is running on, temperature, air management, allowable pressure. For example, if we have a blast freezer, we may need external static pressure up to 200 Pascal or 400 Pascal for special cases. And there are other design factors which we can discuss on and on when we have a different session on evaporator selections. Now the fan is an important component of these evaporators. There are propeller fan and axial fans which are generating different air volumes and pressures, I'm sure. And another important component of evaporator is how lengthy your room is. For example, if my room is 50 meter long, so my evaporator fan will be different. But if my room is 10 meter long, my evaporator will be different. Yes. For example, air throw of a evaporator will be different. Okay. So air throw is nothing but, if you see evaporator here at the extreme, and if you look from the door side, I mean, I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. As a student, you are, imagine, as a student, you are at a door of the cold store, and this evaporator or air cooler is extreme wall of a cold store, and there is a shelving where product to be placed, and this air should reach at the end of the store where you are standing, and this can be 10 meter, this can be 90 meter, this can be, you know, maybe 100 meter long. It depends on a designer. Okay, so the evaporator fans should be stronger enough to throw that air, so it should reach to extreme end of the product. So product should not get hungry for a cooling effect. I hope product as a recipient should have enough air, and he should not die because of less cooling. So here I would like to give you another view just for students. I'm sure professional knows about it. So there is a fan here. We are throwing air with the power of fan. It goes like this. Okay. So here you are standing. So next time I would like to put here a picture of human. Thanks, you reminded me. And then it will be more clear principle wise. And this pressure or velocity of the fan will ensure that product stored here in this part will have the same temperature the product stored below the evaporator or air cooler. I don't want to explain the air throw formula. Yes. So another important point is we are that room temperature design for evaporator, which can be of mean temperature or an average temperature, which is another point can be discussed. Okay, so I don't want to explain this in too many details, but here this I wanted to discuss. Now as a engineer, you have a two kind of evaporator. You can have fans in front side of evaporators, or you can have fans behind the evaporator. What I'm trying to say is you can blow air through the coils, or you can draw air through the coil. I'm sure as a refrigeration or HVAC engineers, you must have heard induced draft or forced draft principle of air. So this is the same thing. So both have different advantages and disadvantages. Yeah. And it is, it is a prerogative of a designer based on cold store requirements. So we should not discuss this in detail, because again, this is another side. So I'm just like student to understand. So fan can be behind the coil and fan can be in front of coil. So this is the principle wise I told you. Now we have a good cold store. Everything is excellent. Our compressor is good. Our evaporator is good. But sometimes we make mistakes. We are not God. We are losing some time our basics. So we have a good evaporator, good everything, but we are not placing evaporator. For example, if we have a beam here, so evaporator air will not go to the last end. So half of the air reflected here, then second half here, then other part here, and then finally there is no air at the end of the product. So this is thumbs down. So this installation is not correct information installation. I will not say this is bad, but this is not correct. I'm sure half of the product you can save in this cold store, but other half of the product, I'm sure engineer have taken his money, cold store component supplier have sold, but somebody has made a mistake, maybe a engineer or installer or a designer or a consultant. So who is suffering? Environment is suffering, and the big stakeholder is investor, who is spending so much money and he is not getting desired effect. And here, how we placing our pallets. So these, if you see, this is not a right way to place your pallets, correct? Here the air is blocked. This is blown air from this evaporator, air is blown, and then it is not going at the end and coming back. Okay, so it should come to the end and it should circulate back. So what is right view? This is thumbs up installation. So we are throwing air and it should come circulation inside the product and coming back. So there is a continuous circulation, and each and every corner where product is placed is getting enough air. So we are helping to achieve enough air circulation through product and maintaining quality and food security, and above all saving environment. And look at this placement, awesome, excellent. So air is going and it is coming back. So here is another example. You have evaporators installed on a false ceiling, and the product is going on. So the left hand side bottom, this is one of my project. I have done this work with one of the excellent contractor, awesome contractor, I must say. And then this is another installation. And then in evaporators, the noise is very important. Yes. So because noise should be taken care of. So as I said, this is another topic, evaporator selection. So we will go further. Now after evaporator and compressors, another third, you remember I told you three most important components: evaporator, compressor, and third one is a condenser. So place where you absorb the heat, where you transfer the heat, and where you pump the heat and you condense the liquid. So condenser is a place where you are converting refrigerant into liquid. High temperature, high pressure gas, you are converting it to low temperature, low pressure liquid. If we have an efficient condenser, we can generate enough liquid for expansion valve, which is required, which is prerequisite to generate enough cooling effect. If we have inefficient condensers, so it is entirely a prerogative of designer and his calculation how to start, how to design condenser and how to calculate condensing capacity. I will not get into it, but we can take questions on this. I'm open for that. Then there are some other components in plant room, which is separator vessels or surge drums or suction accumulators. So these are the vessels. Then we have, in case of pump refrigeration system, we have pumps which are hermetically sealed, which are open type pumps, which are used to pump refrigerant from the plant room to the desired evaporator or heat exchangers to generate refrigeration effect. Like you must have heard about low charge refrigeration systems. So pumps plays important roles in low charge refrigeration systems. Okay, so that is entirely a different topic. We may discuss that another day. Now we can go another way. We have a plant room where we are keeping all the components and we are pumping the refrigeration. We have all the controls, and then the desired effect is reaching through evaporators. Now we have all the components designed. Yes, we will take the questions and then we go to applications later on, and then we take questions on application if time permits. So here
Sure.
we have selected the compressor, we have selected the condenser, evaporators and everything. Now I'm open to questions up to this point of the time.
Sure. Vaibhav sir is there, or should I continue the questions? Okay. So the one question, this is very important and very nice question asked by Khyati Baghdad. The question is, what are the technologies or modification in existing technologies that are practiced so as to call it sustainable, including lowering carbon emissions?
This is, I think he is a very smart questioner. I must appreciate. Why? Because he one question he asked me 5 questions. Yes. So yes. Mr. Khyati, am I pronouncing correct?
Yeah, Miss Khyati Baghdad.
Miss Khyati Baghdad, very nice question. Now, see, first thing for sustainable technology and for environment, we should use natural refrigerants. Yeah, natural refrigerants which have lower GWP or they are close to nature. As I always believe and I have learned in this part of the world, closer we are to the nature, we make everything sustainable. So first and the most important thing is we should have natural refrigerants. Yes, I'm working with various mentors in Europe, UK on these practices only, and I learn from them how important is this natural refrigerant. And some of the natural refrigerants are not be very feasible for our conditions in India. Okay, but the most important natural refrigerant is ammonia for cold stores. Yes, and also there are many refrigerant. We can use indirect refrigerant, for example, water. We can use glycol. We can use that will help us to reduce carbon footprint. Now the first part of, I hope I am able to answer Miss Khyati your question.
So should I repeat the question or?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
So environment part, I think I am able to answer. What was the first part?
Just a minute, sir. So the question was, what are technologies and modifications?
Technologies. See, all technologies are open because we must, or you can use any compressor. Now it is your knowledge, and it is your stakeholders, how much they are educated. For example, your consultant or your suppliers or your investor, what effort and what distance they are ready to go. For example, as an investor, I want cheap, so it will not work to have a sustainable environment and technology. Even we have a technology available, and we are, as an investor, we are not ready to be responsible for environment, then whole effort goes wasted. Now, if investor is ready and consultant have no knowledge about the technology and the refrigerant, then also effort goes wasted. And other is engineers and contractors, design engineers and contractors. So if they don't have a knowledge of technology and refrigerant, then also we are not reaching to a point where we are able to save the environment. All technologies are available. For example, screw compressor is a good technology given a particular application. So for me, there are various technologies. This we can discuss one-to-one, or you can send me email. I think even my favorite uncle, Google uncle, can even tell you what are the technologies available. But important question here is, are we educated? Are we responsible enough to adopt those technologies? Yes, as a stakeholder, as stakeholders, are we able to take that responsibility that, okay, yes, I will tell my investor that I don't want to work on this project because you are using a refrigerant which is going to kill the environment. Okay, so as an industry, we should have this responsibility to save environment. So technologies are generated. For example, I always give this to my students. See, a gun can save you or gun can kill you. So option is always yours, how you are going to use the gun. But invention of gun was not wrong. So if you use as a self-defense, it is a good. But if you use not for a self-defense, then it is a lethal. The same way, we have technologies available, various technologies in India, and we are practicing these technologies. For example, like I have read it in my college time that oldest technology of refrigeration were used in air conditioning of some of the palaces in Rajasthan. Yes, still that is in my head. Those were like evaporative cooling. Yeah, so technology is there, but are we responsible? Are we ready to take this risk? And are we able to tell stakeholders, no, I don't want to work with you because you are using outdated technology or you are just going behind the money?
Sure.
So I hope I am able to answer. If not,
sure,
then you can send me email.
Sure. In line with this, there's one interesting point, which I think it is in line with the answer which you have already given. When vapor absorption refrigeration system can be used instead of vapor compression system?
Awesome. Awesome. I was expecting this question and glad somebody asked this question.
Yes.
See, vapor compression system, as I remember, we are not, most of the vapor absorption systems, we are not able to go below -5 system wise or room temperature wise, either of them. So we are able to, I know one of my friend, okay, they are a smaller innovative technology in National Capital Region. He's very close friend of mine. They have a very nice system for farmers. Okay, 2-ton, 3-ton or 5-ton cold stores, which runs without electricity. Okay, and they are only able to, and this is ammonia DX system. And this technology is available in India, and nobody, I think we are not able to advertise this technology properly. And I know this technology and I'm proud of those Indians. Okay. So this technology is available. I'm sure and I know they are helping farmers, but many of us does not know about them. Okay. So your students can get in touch with me. I can even ask my friends. So students can visit his site and he can explain this, or this friend of mine can visit the student and explain about his system. Okay. So this technology is available. Now, absorption system, there are some European companies, they are even doing, I think, low temperature also, but they require very, very high investment in terms of waste heat. So there is a technology, but it is not a viable as of now, considering economics of India. Okay, so that and technology also, because I cannot promote anybody's name or company on this platform. So when we discuss one-to-one, I can share the company name, because I love to share company names, those who are innovating and those who are helping an environment to generate sustainable practices, and they are inspiration to us. Hope I am clear.
Yes, sir. So another question is from Mr. Karthikeyan. There are two questions. One question is, give some insights on improving energy efficiency part of the existing storage. Plus, what are the commonly refrigerants being used in refrigeration and cold chain?
Okay, can you repeat the question, Karthikeyan question?
Yes. Give some insights on improving energy efficiency in existing storage.
Okay, energy efficiency, and second is refrigerants. Okay.
Commonly used refrigerants.
Okay. See, there are various refrigerants. So being a responsible environment engineer, I would not like to use the refrigerant which has high global warming potential. But I normally love to work with the refrigerant which are eco-friendly, environment-friendly, and low GW global warming potential. And there are various refrigerants, okay, like ammonia, CO2, and there are some synthetic refrigerants also. I don't remember the names because these are longer names, and these are not natural refrigerant, but they are generated by some companies. So these refrigerants are also having low global warming potential, and generating, they are efficient in behavior. And now the most important question part is how to improve efficiency of existing cold storage system, or a system where HVACR is installed. I mean refrigeration only. So basically, refrigerant is important. Your each and every component should be audited by an expert with all the stakeholders involved, because see, I have seen many consultants which I have no doubt they are competent, but one person cannot be a master of all the components. Okay, so energy efficiency is all about all people sitting together. For example, a evaporator, for example, existing cold store, we should bring a evaporator guy, compressor person, and PLC and design engineer together on a table of existing cold store. If they are not available, then we should bring a panel of people together with different expertise, and then we can have an audit of each and every component and find out how the efficiency can be improved. Now, energy efficiency of cold store component, I have already committed to somebody in ASHRAE only, that I am going to do a session on improving energy efficiency on existing cold stores, or improving energy efficiency from the designer perspective. Okay, so this I'm going to take, I think, another next 10 days. I will inform, you can have that on my LinkedIn or wherever you can have it on on website, and I will share with you as a ASHRAE Jaipur.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for this. I think there are other questions, but due to the time constraint, we need to, because it's 6:15 now, okay, and we are going to complete 2 hours. So it's a really very detailed and detailed session. There were lots of more than 20 questions were there, and we have responded to every question. Rest 12 questions are there. But I mean, that means this shows that people are understanding and they are asking the question because they have some queries now. So I'm pretty sure that this kind of session has helped them a lot. So please permit me. I mean, we would like to end the session now.
No
Arun
issue,
sir.
no issue, no issue. Let me go and conclude in another
Please.
10 minutes if you allow.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah. So I will conclude. I'll go faster. Yes. And
Yep.
because I would like to end with one important message which Ashray recently, circulated.
Okay.
It's a very important message.
Sure.
So
Sure,
like
sir.
we have a cold store for banana storage, banana ripening, different air circulation system. Then you have ice cream storage. Then you have a butter and cheese storage. Then you have a vegetable storages. Then fruit and vegetable pre-cooling, which is very important. Then there are other components, humidifier, dehumidifier, ice machines. And then we have isothermal products, which are panels, doors, etc. Very important for sustainability and saving the environment. Without them, we cannot do anything, and people ignore them. They don't pay attention. But as a refrigeration designer, we have to pay attention. Doors, I already explained, very important component. Yes, efficient door. After 3 years, they will increase your bills. So if it is not efficient, now what can be the action plan? So as an engineer or as an organization, we should try to spread information the way we are doing webinar today. So the first step to solve a problem is to realize the problem. Okay, so let's spread our observation, and then we should consider inputs, and then we do desired action based on different inputs from different experts. And to sustainability and technology part, we should never forget that there is a ring of food and energy. So if we are not understanding this ring of food and energy, how as a human we are connected, and how this ring of food and energy is for responsibility to generate lower carbon footprint, it's important. So as a engineer designer, we have a challenge of detailed planning, resource management, SWOT analysis, and customized engineering. So who are the stakeholders here? Your contractors, your suppliers, your consultants, your project engineers, and last but not the least, investor. Now to conclude, I would like to bring this point which we started from. Say about 18 to 30% of world energy is linked to the food chain. So as an engineer, it is our responsibility that we should act responsible, and up to 80% of electrical load goes into warehouses where food products are stored. Okay. Now this is the recent message which I saw on Ashray, and I will tell you this is very important. If you see this poster, I as an engineer, I feel proud that I am part of this industry, because if you read this, the first part, 50% of medicines must be stored and transport under controlled temperatures. 10,000 in 30 years, we have helped reduce polio. See, 40% of world vaccines are unable to, reach because there is no enough people, experts in cold chain. Now the cold chain reduces hunger. This is the most important message which we wanted to tell our future designers, future engineers, that you are nothing but, you are not less than doctor or a soldier. So you are a soldier which is helping society. So how effectively you can help, how responsibly you can help, it is up to you. So let us all celebrate Refrigeration Day on June 26, sorry, I beg your pardon, and help people. So now if you have any questions, this is, you can have my WhatsApp, handphone, and my LinkedIn. Okay. And I hope if you have any question, we can take, or you can email me the questions, because chapter president is having my email address. Okay. Or you can post the questions on my page. I will answer there all these questions. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
It would be much better also. I mean, if we can write on chat, I will write on chat about your email ID so that people will note, and in the case if they have a query, they can email you. Will that be okay, sir?
Yeah, this is absolutely fine with me, because And I'm sure this session will be uploaded onto YouTube, and
Yes.
Ishre will upload this. Yes, because all my session I am uploading on YouTube. If you go to my channel, there is a heat load calculation session which I done for Ishre Gurgaon, and Ishre daily I have done for poultry slaughterhouse specifically. And I mean, you see it repeatedly, it will help. Even I'm still learning. When you ask me question, I will certainly go back and work on some questions. Like I have really noted questions and your names, and I will never forget you people, because you asked me such an vital questions, especially Mr. Miss Khayati and Mr. Shekhawat and Mr. Basu, Tapan Basu.
Sure. So now should we come
You
back
are
to
you are
conclusion?
cracking, I believe.
Sorry, sir.
Oh, now you are clear. Your voice was cracking.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now the end of the session. Alkendra Singh sir is there.
Yeah. So I wanted to share the resources which you can refer as an engineer. Okay.
Uh-huh.
As an engineer, you can refer to these resources. Like this is very good website for United Nations. Then there are another resources. You can go to all these where then you have refrigeration handbook 2018. I think latest handbook should be released, and this will help you.
Mhm. All right, sir. Definitely, I think Alkendra sir is not available here. So definitely, I would like to have an opportunity to give a vote of thanks. So definitely, all the details which you have mentioned, as I can see today during the end, uh, 50 minutes before, all 90 people were there, and I'm pretty sure more than 100 participants have joined this session, which is a big thing for us as well, because more than 100 people have attended and understood the knowledge which you have in your vast career. So, as you explained very well, that food security is quite low in India. I have noted the points. I mean, throughout the 2 hours, I was noting the point. I was understanding each and every aspect. As like food production is very high, but food security is very low in India. Uh, you have very well explained about refrigeration, all about the pressure, not about temperature. You have also very well explained about all the load and about load calculations, which you have explained. You also explained the breathing, which food and food products do breathe. That breathing is also included in the heat load, or we can say load, so that that refrigeration system can be defined. You also have advised that not to go with the thumb rule, and also that every calculation should be done properly and not according to thumb rule. Uh, Definitely, this energy recovery ventilator response which you have made, that was also very helpful. I'm pretty sure these all things which you explained were very important, and these will be helpful for all the students, for their career, for all the professionals to understand a bit more about their in the knowledge that would definitely be additional to their knowledge.
Thank you.
Uh, so this all is from my side, sir. Thank you so much for giving the time, 2 hours given to Jaipur chapter. I'm really we are thankful to you. And I also would like to thank to our participants who have joined, and the backbone, Mr. Alkendra Singh, who is a student here, who has arranged, coordinated everything. I would like to thank to him as well, and whole student chapter, which is Dr. Vaibhav Jain and Gaurav, which have also given their best efforts to make this event successful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we are just concluding by Ishire Tune.
Thank you. My pleasure having with students. But I believe this will become little longer because students have a different way of looking at it, and
Yes,
professionals have a different. So we
true,
try to
true,
balance it. But I
true.
also agree with you that this become little lengthy. So when
Yes,
it become lengthy, so that sometimes good things can also become boring. So I get my feedback indirectly, but I always believe feedback is a breakfast for champions. I
no,
always take feedback from my stakeholders. My friends, fellow students.
Definitely. The similar way, I mean, we have also the session in morning also that was all about cooling towers. That was also lengthy. It's not lengthy. I mean, it was lengthy and also very interactive. This was also very lengthy, interactive. In morning session, there were 80 to 90 questions. In this session, there were 20, 30 questions. So it is okay. And when questions are more and more questions, that is more engagement. And more engagement is more good session. And this was good session for us. Definitely, the refrigeration part is very untouched. You know, even if though even for professional as well, the refrigeration part is very untouched. So when these new things is given to them, I mean, this is for them, helpful for them as well, because which is untouched part, if we are working on that thing, that's an opportunity. So work on the opportunity and it's your career. That's it.
Thank you, ISRE. Thank you, ISRE Jaipur chapter. Thank you, ISRE Executive Committee. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.